such as not wasting £657,000 of taxpayer money on teaching school children about misinformation. Misinformation. So it should surprise you that Lynn Neagle again, like I said, the age of the female feminist liberal politician is coming to an end, ladies and gentlemen, with stuff like this. Provided an update on the £657,093 Democratic Engagement Grant, which funds sessions for school children on tackling misinformation. And some might call it brainwashing, because that's exactly what it is.
The Democratic Engagement Grant, we have spent, allocated £657,093 to support democratic activities in Wales, which is a substantial amount of money. One of the four purposes, as she'll be aware, is to ensure that learners have opportunities to become ethical and informed citizens of Wales and the world who understand and exercise their democratic responsibilities and rights.
Yeah, democratic in the same way that North Korea is democratic.
As she's already highlighted, this is a mandatory part of the humanities area.
Socialism, ideas so good, you have to make them mandatory and you have to enforce them. You have to enforce them at the threat of sending people to prison.
Of learning and experience, and the statements of what matters are clear, that learners should be supported to learn about citizenship and active citizenship, about different forms of governance, and enabling learners to understand their roles and responsibilities in a democratic system. Now that 16 and 17-year-olds are eligible to vote in Wales, I agree with her that this is more important than ever. I would say that we are taking meaningful action in this space. We have the Democratic Engagement Grant, which is funding projects which are delivered in the classroom to support young people to participate in the democratic
I wish these people would get on with it sometimes.
That includes the digital dialogue sessions, which I know she's been part of and which I've been part of in my own constituency. It's also involved sessions on tackling misinformation and supporting the City of Cardiff's Democracy in Action workshop.
Over £500,000. And the NHS is on its knees when all of our public services are shit, when buses don't run on time, trains don't run on time, energy's stupidly expensive, recycling bins don't get taken, you know, businesses are being crushed, all of this stuff, right? The high street in my local, it pains me, it physically pains me when I see photos of how my town's high street used to look. Physically pains me when I see photos of how my town's high street used to look. It used to be bustling. You'd see photos, men, classy men, stiff upper lip attitude, wearing suits. You know, you'd have shops filled with stuff. And as a kid, we never understood the importance of things like this. Now we do. It's a classic saying, ladies and gentlemen, you never understand what you have till it's gone. You never understand what you have till it's gone. Now it's all fucking vape shops and Turkish barbers and kebab shops, and you know, you got to wonder how many of these things are just a front for something else. You have to wonder that. But again, £657,000 of your money to brainwash your children. And that should be evident with what we talked about at the start of this episode, ladies and gentlemen. This is not education. This is brainwashing. This is brainwashing. Because some may say that, you know, the things that are being spread at the moment by the government and by these agencies are misinformation. Let me open this. So, you have this, for example, ladies and gentlemen, which was released in Germany. So this is from Germany. It's not from Wales. But Germany, many areas of Germany, as you know, ladies and gentlemen, suffer massively, especially in the cities. We covered it last time. A lady who was ranting and raving about problems with immigrants. But problems with immigrants, usually from societies where they don't have very positive views of women, very oppressive, very, for lack of a better term, misogynistic. And this was, I'm not exactly sure where this is from. It's from Buren, I believe is how you pronounce it. It's from Buren of Ostwestfalen-Lippe. I hope I pronounced that right. talking about, not groping people in water. I'm assuming it's in like a public pool or something like that. And let me know what you think would be the problem was, ladies and gentlemen, if you saw this poster as an awareness for not sexually assaulting people in pools. Who would you think the culprit is? So for those of you watching, for listening, not watching, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what the German says, obviously. But this is a poster. This is a poster. And it is of what you would assume middle-aged, I suppose, German lady with red hair, groping a young brown boy, what appears to be a teenage sort of brown boy. And you get the impression that it's a bunch of tiddly ants in Germany groping a bunch of immigrant boys. And it should surprise you none, ladies and gentlemen, when I show you this in a moment, who was responsible for things like this. Who was responsible for just everything wrong with this? It is a complete inversion of reality. And apparently who was behind this is a lady by the name of, I believe that's how you say it, with, I'm not going to describe her yet, but she's apparently behind this. It's apparently a tiki campaign, which shows a chubby German woman groping a migrant with a wooden leg. I forgot to mention that's a wooden leg. A complete inversion of reality. And it should surprise you none, ladies and gentlemen, the kind of person, allegedly, I have to say allegedly, obviously, but if the shoe fits, So again, for those of you listening, not watching, ladies and gentlemen, you're looking at a very obese lady, very like liberal lady, with I don't believe the photo is the most high def it could be, some kind of stereotypical nose piercing, bright green hair, green and stripy jumper. Oh, see, look, it's low-key looking like something out of bloody Beetlejuice with the jumper. Not necessarily her herself, but the jumper. And it should surprise you none. Again, this is apparent. I don't want to cause her any hate or anything like that. You shouldn't go over there and spout a bunch of hate to this lady if you can find her or anything like that. I don't advise that whatsoever. But there's a pattern. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, the age of the liberal female politician is over. And this is why there's a rising case at the moment for people in America. They have the repeal the 19th, as a kind of like as a pseudo joke at the moment. But, a lot of people are saying it. Even a lot of women, as they're realizing that with how emotional women tend to be, they're very much more emotionally driven than men for the most part, that they will be behind a lot of these initiatives that are directly putting them in danger. And even the other fellow women that are more conservative are noticing who the problem is. The problem, for example, with males competing in women's sports and the guys being men, is women that more voted for that than men. Because women, especially in the UK, are trending dangerously liberal, especially over the last 20 years. Dangerously liberal. And I got a graph to show you at the end that really cements that. But we're talking about misinformation. This is misinformation. This poster is misinformation. It's an insult to German women to say that they are the ones groping migrant boys, when in many ways, or the vast majority of cases, it is the exact opposite. It's German women being harassed by migrant men. And we've covered that time and time again on this podcast. We've given you example after example after example. The one lady, I believe it was either in Berlin or in Vienna, where they grabbed her, picked her up and said, let's take her to Raqqa, I believe it was. And Raqqa being the ISIS stronghold where they kept Yazidi sex slaves. But no, it's obviously the tiddly German ants that are the problem with touching young migrant boys on the arse. So is it misinformation to say that the problem is predominantly, males that are coming from these completely alien, backwards cultures? Would it be misinformation to point out, for example, a little while ago in March, that St. John Lloyd School in Wales, I believe they disabled their X page now after James S. has exposed them. This post has 270,000 views at time of recording, ladies and gentlemen. Ask students to complete a task in which they have to pretend that they are Syrians finding an illegal route into the United Kingdom. And they're rewarded for avoiding border crossings. And it is pure indoctrination. This is what I mean. You have to take a vested interest, ladies and gentlemen, in what your children are learning. You have to. You don't have a choice anymore. And I wish you did. But you don't anymore. So this is what we're referring to, ladies and gentlemen. I'll bring it up on screen for you now. So it says here, task 1, getting into Europe is very difficult. You could go to Africa first if you're feeling adventurous. The thick black lines are where the border police or fences are. Try to avoid these. You have this map on your table and a blank A4 map. This is Europe. Use the atlas to plan your route to the UK. Syria is part of the southeast and is not part of Europe. So this is where you have a school in Wales that were actively getting children to avoid border crossings and plan their route to the UK from Syria as an illegal migrant, to indoctrinate them into thinking that this is normal, this is okay, and this is good. That's what you have with this, ladies and gentlemen. That is what passes for education in Wales. This is the result, this is the logical end result of the policies of people like Lynn Neagle, the education minister. Because everything they do and everything that they are doing is in the exact opposite interests of the people of Wales. And it has been for a long, long time. It has been for a long, long time. I'm going to give you a little bit extra detail on this, ladies and gentlemen, because there's another slide that I wanted to show you from this lesson, if you can call it that, from this struggle session. It says here, appreciate the huge distances that Syrian refugees travel to reach their destination. Appreciate your invaders. Teaching children to appreciate their invaders. Plan a possible route through Europe to the UK. Bronze. Plan a route from Syria to the UK using an atlas. All controlled borders are avoided and each country is accurately located. For silver, you do all of the above, but controlled borders are avoided and countries and cities are accurately located. There is some effort to work out the distance from place to place using the scale. So I would imagine this is some kind of geography lesson, I would imagine. Or again, might fit in under this, what is it? Not the RSE scheme, but like the PSE. This might be like a PSE lesson, where for some reason they were teaching us about euthanasia and stuff like that, as if it was in any way okay. Plan a route, for gold, plan a route from Syria to the UK. Controlled borders are avoided using land and sea, and cities are accurately located. Distance from each location to the next is calculated using the scale, and then it cuts off. This is just pure indoctrination, ladies and gentlemen. It is pure indoctrination. And again, this is why your children are being taught to appreciate and plan their own invasion, to plan their subjugation. That's what they're being taught. It's not school, it's an indoctrination camp. But again, I might get done for misinformation for saying this, just as I might get done for bringing to light that a controversial charity, City of Sanctuary, has even produced a game called Asylum, Snakes and Ladders, in which case Square 51 is labelled Sent to Wales. Lucky, free language classes, and you get a ladder up to Square 55. Making use of benefits provided by the Welsh government off the back of the Welsh taxpayer, who's already taxed into oblivion enough as it is in a tyrannical socialist system, and then they're laughing at you. They're laughing at you with Asylum, Snakes and Ladders. Don't believe me, ladies and gentlemen, look on a screen right now. Don't believe me, look on a screen right now. Asylum, Snakes and Ladders. and you get a 71, square 71, case failed due to solicitor negligence. And now you get sent back down even further, square 50, but you get sent down for flashbacks. But you get a ladder up to square 55 when you get sent to Wales. You get sent to Wales. It's a shame, because for the Welsh taxpayer at the moment, getting sent to Wales is akin to serfdom in many instances, akin to serfdom. So again, great if you're a foreign invader, not so great if you're a Welsh taxpayer. Couple more things to go through now, ladies and gentlemen. Just one of the things I want to bring to light. So again, what makes you think? One more thing, that the Welsh government is a foreign government. Work on behalf of foreign interests. The First Minister, again, should surprise you, is a female Liberal politician. Eluned Morgan said we should never forget the Welsh government's proud record in Uganda, where they've helped to plant 25 million trees, at taxpayer expense, obviously. It makes you wonder, why is the NHS on its knees? Why are our roads shit? Why are our taxes higher than ever? Why are we not getting the benefits from said taxes? Why are many instances either the recycling vans aren't sent out, or our rubbish collections now have to be reduced to, I think it's once a month in some areas? Why everything is stupidly expensive. Energy is expensive. You have to have pretty much both parents working if you want to raise even just one child. But, families of immigrants coming over with 4, 5, 6 children get everything funded at taxpayer expense. That you are being made into a slave class. And then on top of that, they laugh at you when they spend 25, however much it is, to plant 25 million trees in Uganda. I think Eluned Morgan is a Ugandan representative in disguise.
Well, we should never forget the proud record we have in Uganda, where we've helped to plant 25 million trees. Well, we should never...
It's a shame for all the people that are struggling with hospital appointments, struggling to get a GP or dentist appointment, struggling to even put food on the table. Oh, but at least the Ugandans have got trees.